Hey, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, and this is the Railscales LEAF. When it comes to setting firearms, rifles mainly, up for use in night vision, there are some priority of work issues, if you will, or priority of placement. So if the gun's use is going to be used, or you're probably going to use it for night vision, or you highly suspect you're going to use it for night vision because you're mounting some form of eye or laser on it, you have to decide where that laser is going to go. My personal feeling, my personal philosophy is, since the gun is dedicated for night use, that laser should have the, I guess, the priority placement, VIP seating, if you will. So I'm going to push it all the way to the end of the rail. Now, there's some arguments for bringing it a little further back, but then you get into control issues and you get into diffusing issues where your laser will impact with some of the other devices you have mounted on your firearm and can refract the beam and cause accuracy issues. So for me, it's got to go all the way to the front. Now, when we talk about SBRs, we get into accessory issues. So if I have a laser and I have my light and my laser controls, what some people do is they push the laser a little bit further back, that iron sight, that backup iron sight, in front of their laser. The issue with that is, like I already mentioned, you could have potential refraction issues, and then you have the issue that the laser isn't quite in the most ideal position to be of use for a night vision gun. Of course, another argument that can be made is, if you've got an IR laser and you've got a visible laser and you've got a red dot or a magnified optic, you already have 3 methods of aiming the firearm, and you're attempting to add a 4th. So traditionally, historically, at least for me, especially on SBRs, iron sights usually got voted off the island because I already had a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary way to aim the firearm. So the iron sights kind of just, well, like I said, got voted off the island. But I've always wanted a solution to provide the iron sights just in case you need them, because one of those, or I should say 2 of those methods of aiming in that trifecta are very light dependent. It's hard to use IR in conjunction with night vision in broad daylight. It's hard to use your visible laser, even green lasers, in broad daylight with the majority of your laser devices out there. So the iron sights may still have a very potential use, because in daylight, you likely, outdoors, especially in bright sunlight, likely the only point of aim, or the only aiming system you're going to have, is your red dot optic. So got together with Railscales and we came up with a solution. With available rail space, especially like I said on SBRs, you're limited in where you can place things, and again, you have to have that priority. With the LEAF, it eliminates that problem. You don't have to argue or juggle priority anymore, because it gives you your front sight directly on top of your laser device, if your laser device is one that's offered. The most popular laser devices I see out there, that I see come through classes and that I see just in general in the firearms community, are the Steiner D-balls and the PEC 15. PEC 15 a little less, because it is still a restricted item unless you buy the civilian version of the PEC 15, which by all accounts is just not very good when compared to some of the other unrestricted laser devices that are available. But the LEAF is going to give you that front sight if you need iron sights. My personal feeling is, if you can put it on the gun and it's not going to affect priority or interact or negatively affect any of your other devices, then it's something you should definitely have. Now, the history behind the LEAF. What is the LEAF? Laser Emitting Aiming Fixture, which is a cool acronym that worked out, because it actually looks kind of like a leaf if you use your imagination. It gives us our front sight. The front sight is designed for a 50-200 meter zero, that being one of the most common prevalent zeros, especially on night vision specific guns. But the history of the LEAF is actually pretty simple. We wanted a front sight. We wanted to be able to mount it somewhere. If you look at D-balls, the I2, the A3, the D2, you'll notice that there's screw holes there. And we decided to put those screw holes to use. Now, as far as the PEC 15 goes, there are no mounting holes, which means that the PEC 15 LEAF is going to be very creative, but we're shaking it out and we're making sure it's going to work. That's going to be available later this summer. So we sat down and we started looking at the designs, and we started looking at what we had available to use, but we had to make sure that it was going to be sufficient. We had to make sure it was going to actually provide that 50-200 meter zero. One of the questions we've already gotten constantly is, how do I adjust my elevation? Well, what we did is we took multiple rifle lengths, multiple rail lengths, and multiple types of ammunition, and we shot them all at a we basically zeroed all those lengths, all those barrels, all those ammunition types at a 50-200 meter zero, and we measured the front sight post, the height of the front sight post in relation to the bore axis. What we found was a very, very, very minute variance. We're talking 0.035 inches of variance between the different heights versus rail lengths, ammo, barrel lengths, so on and so forth. That small variance, of course, can factor into a point of aim, point of impact issue at certain distances, but those distances are well beyond the zero distance for which the rifle is going to be shooting at. And it would probably take you bagging the gun down significantly to even be able to tell the difference. Now, proof of concept, the original prototype, got it out on the range, checked it out, zeroed it, and then put it out to 200 meters on a steel plate. I wanted to see if I can consistently get hits. Now, it's an 8-inch plate. It's a very, very small plate. But as you can see, it's very easy, even with iron sights, even using that prototype leaf, to be able to get hits. Now, when the final production became available, I wanted to go ahead and demonstrate on this particular rifle right here, which is a 10.75-inch PWS Mark I Mod 1. I wanted to be able to demonstrate 4 different ammunition types being able to consistently hit that same steel plate that we tested the prototype on. Of course, proof before your eyes. Was point aim, point impact the same across all 4 ammunition? No. But were they all getting hits? Yes, consistently. These are backup sights. And basically, going back to what I said in the beginning, this gives you that fourth way to aim and knowledgeably shoot the firearm. So we've got our optic, we've got our visible and our IR laser, and now we have iron sights without an increase in real estate, or I should say a decrease in available real estate based on priority of placement for controls, lasers, optics, so on and so forth. Now, for longer guns, this may not be something you necessarily need, but we have been able to put this on up to 16-inch guns and get the same results consistently. If you are one of those people that's worried about elevation, Magpul, because everybody uses Magpul Pros pretty much, has a cool long-range rear now, if you weren't aware of that, which is adjustable for distance. So if I've got my 50-200 meter zero, I can now dial in if I have a minimum distance and still be able to get hits with my iron sights. Now, realistically, how far are you going to go out? That's kind of a personal issue. Again, and I have to stress this, these are backup sights. They do give you a knowledgeable zero, but they're not going to perform to the same degree of finite adjustment that you can get out of a traditional adjustable front sight post. What are some advantages of the Leaf? Kind of already talked about it. One, reduced footprint. It's a negative footprint. It goes on top of a device that's already going to take up rail space. So there's no additional footprint there. Another huge advantage is cost over a front sight post. Again, it's not going to give you the same finite degree of adjustment, because in order to adjust your elevation, you're going to need a rear sight such as the Magpul, the M-Bus Pro, that has the adjustable elevation. Other advantages, well, now if I have footprint issues, I no longer have them. Now, if you're not using a D-ball and you're not using a PEC 15, we don't currently offer one for your device. But as far as popularity goes, we wanted to cover those most popular laser devices, and now I can finally give my students a solution, especially those students using SBRs, to be able to put out rounds with their iron sights, not take up too much real estate, and be able to still maintain those iron sights if that's something they really want, or if that's something that you really want. If you just can't bear the thought of taking the iron sights off your gun or giving a laser priority of your front sight, now you don't have to have that compromise. Leaf is available now. You can go ahead and order it at the website below, those lasers listed. We will be offering the Leaf for other lasers in the future, like I already mentioned, the PEC 15. Of course, by the time you watch this video, the PEC 15 version may already be out. If you have any specific questions about the Leaf that I didn't necessarily address in the video, feel free to drop a question in the comment section below. I'm Aaron Cal with Sage Dynamics and Sage Instruments. Train accordingly.